broken arms, fingers.
But you played. I mean, things like that. Those were. I mean, like I remember Johnny Bench saying, "Hey, groin injury, hamstring, any of that stuff. You wrapped it and you played because you were in danger of losing your job."
What was the worst injury that you suffered, and how long did it sideline you for?
I dislocated my tailbone. I fractured the last vertebrae on my back, and I had extensive nerve damage.
The sacrum?
And
there,
yeah,
the little bone, and I know because I actually fractured some of those little bones down on the tailbone. And there's nothing I could do. I mean, I remember driving, Cindy, to where I had to have that rolled up towel real tight there just to keep my back straight. And then, I mean, literally 15 minutes, I'd have to pull over and get out and stretch because that's how bad my back was. And people are like, well, why don't you just get it? There's nothing you can do. It has to heal on its own.
Yeah, and I did this in Brisbane, Australia, when I was down there. And the doctors told me that if I didn't do what they said, that there was a good possibility that the paralysis that I was having in my legs would never go away. So I was in a hospital until they decided that I had healed enough where I could fly home.
Boy, that's some scary news right there. And basically, if you don't do what we say, there's a chance you could be paralyzed.
They'll get your attention.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I tell you, the nuns, they were great in the hospital. They kept you there, and you were sitting in there and laying there getting on board, and they didn't let you feel sorry for yourself. And you're going to eat. You got to eat. You got to eat. You got to get healthy so you can heal. You got to eat, and then you'd eat that, and they'd bring you more. I gained 10 pounds in the hospital.
Ken Thompson, Andy Iskoe. We're talking a little bit with Cindy McCoy, roller derby queen. Hell on Wheels is the book. Cindy, again, for folks that have never seen the sport, is there a lot of footage now? YouTube, we know the technology that we have. Can they go back and can they watch some of, how about your stuff, or is there anything that's out there, for the public to see?
There's some real old footage that's still out there. It's pretty rough, and there's some of the newer stuff that when they kind of went off the deep end.
And any websites or anything that
I
give
have
a history of roller derby, or at least some idea?
there are websites out there that you can. I have a website. I do have some of the part of a little bit of the history and a little bit of film on it. There are other websites out there that do have it. It's interesting. It's fun to watch, and you can get little clips. And on YouTube, you can go on YouTube and you can find roller derby little clips of the games, of the old games, and some of the old skiers. The true pioneers of the game. It's fun to watch.
The whole history, everything is there. It's laid out.
It's there and laid out for you.
Beautiful. That's good stuff, because even though I did enjoy it back in the day, I'm still, it's more interesting when you actually talk with somebody that,
and when you know what's going on. I mean, when we're like, 8, 10 years old, you're watching, you don't really understand what's going on other than, gee, these guys are skating around fast and they're hitting each other.
Yeah, and it's like any other sport. It evolves, it grows, like the NFL and how their rules and regulations have changed,
right.
How they're addressing the injuries.
Safety issues.
And the safety issues that didn't happen back in the day.
Okay, talk to me again now to simplify for somebody that's driving around listening and they have no clue. Again, you have 10 players, 5 from each team on the track. You're going around, you're skating around in circles. Explain the scoring now, how you can score, what's the max you can score. Because I remember to where, a team would be down. I remember New York Chiefs, they're down by a certain amount, and you're like, okay, it's the last rush or whatever, and then they're going around, and they need a certain amount of points. What's the max they can score? How do you score? Explain the scoring.
You can get 1 point for each person of the opposing team that you pass.
Okay.
If you pass that same if you
lap a person.
If you lap that same person, you have to do a whole lap.
Mm-hmm.
You can get 2 points on them.
So that would be what? So you could get what? 5 or 10 points?
You could get 10, as long as you didn't run out of time.
10 would be the maximum if you passed everybody, including
twice.
The other team's jammer twice.
Yeah, and that's doing some unless you do a pile down, and then you can get more.
Now, are there only certain jammers? Are they the only ones that can score?
Yes,
okay.
The jammer is, and once they break from the pack and they blow the whistle and the jam's on, the time starts. And then it's your job is, if you're in the pack, working the pack, is to slow it down so your jammer has a chance to get around. If you have two speedsters out there and you know you need a little more time, or if you know that other jammer on the other team has been out there jam after jam and they're getting tired, then you'll pick things up and force it to try and wear them down so you can get rid of them and your jammer can score.
And Andy, I remember sometimes you'd watch to where only one of the jammers was actually coming in and having a chance to score there, for your team, and you'd watch him just continuously get pummeled, and you're like going, dude, what are you doing, man? You got no chance. But they were the only one that was separated to where they were the only one that had that chance to score, Cindy, so they had to go for it.
You had to go for it. And sometimes you get your help back there, and Judy Swinsky was awesome in helping me. She against some of these real powerful defensive players.
There you go. I can't wait to read the book. It is Hell on Wheels. How can people get a hold of the book, and how can they get in touch with you, maybe with some questions? Do you have an email, a question and answer type thing? Can they get in touch with you, Cindy, and kind of go back and maybe have some questions if they have questions on the history, on your personal history, and how can they get a hold of the book?
The book, you can get a hold of that. It's on Amazon.com.
Okay.
And you can go on my website and find out about that.
Okay, what's your website?
It's Cindy McCoy Derby. Roller Derby Queen, excuse me. .com.
RollerDerbyQueen.com. Okay, you're
at AOL.com.
being reprimanded by the principal in the back there. We hear him. Tell us a little bit about the man that knows everything here. That is, we don't have another setup here, but tell me a little bit about your relationship here.
Terry O'Neill is my husband. We've been married for 14 years. He spent 22 years in the United States Navy and retired.
I love you already, Terry. That's it, man. Him and Roger Staubach, baby. I remember, and I'm a Navy boy myself. 4 years on an aircraft carrier and shellback and all that good stuff, but not 22 years. I mean, that's when you know that when you start talking to anybody that's more than 10 years, they know the ins and outs of the Navy. And again, we have the greatest Navy in the world. We are very, very blessed, and that's great. Now, where did you meet Terry?
I met Terry in Denver, Colorado. We were both managing, and he had retired out of the Navy and moved to Colorado, and he came to work, and I was told to give him hell.
There you go. So you threw a couple elbows, and he's like, yeah, this girl's entertaining. I'll give it a challenge. I'll see what I can do after 22 years in the Naval Academy or Navy, and see what I can do here. And that's great. So now you two have been hitched for what? 14 years?
14 years.
Beautiful.
We got hitched here in Vegas, and we came back to Vegas, and this is our home now.
All right. So what are the plans now? As far as, I mean, to me, I would think the two of you have all the wherewithal as far as to try and get roller derby back on the map. To me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, again, you're taking something old school and you're putting it now with the technology we have with all these different things. I think we need to see
that movie happen. I think if that movie comes out the way it's been described, it'll catch on. It might become a cult type thing with the simplicity and yet the elegance of it.
And I would love to see it come back too. And I know down in Southern California they do have some roller games going on.
Okay.
But I know it's not a weekly thing, and I think it's once every month or quarter.
No, it's got to be something.
Not very often. And they don't have the money. They don't have the means to keep it going. And I think the other thing that they were on the edge and ahead of their time on so many aspects, but I think as far as recruiting and training and bringing the new in, because in my opinion, an athlete only has a window so long, and they kept bringing back the olders and the olders and the olders, and pretty soon the olders and olders and olders died off. So what were they left with?
No doubt. It's again, it's something that needs to be resurrected and brought back into the younger generation for them to at least have the footage out there, like Andy was talking about, the YouTube, something, because I would think that maybe they can tweak it a little bit to give it that new age X Games feel
well, the
and
thing
just kind
is,
of tweak it a little bit.
It's a sport of action, and that's what people crave. That's what people want to see.
And it's a contact sport, and the girls on the flat track today and all the leagues around the country, I give them heads up because they're out there, they're trying it, they're doing it at their own, pretty much their own expense, and yet they're still trying to keep that skating alive. And, it would be nice if they could get something going or, where it could grow and become great once again.
I agree because, Kiara and I, my daughter, we just made it to California, and when you go to Venice and Manhattan Beach and Hermosa and Redondo in that area, and you see everybody skating there on the beach, there is no doubt to me that there is an appetite for a sport like roller derby. Cindy McCoy, we thank you so much. We look forward to having you back on to talk a little bit more in detail after I read the book.
All right, sounds like a plan, and thank you so much for having me.
We appreciate you. Ken Thompson, Andy Iskoe, going to come back. SportsX Radio, 50,000 watt AM 720 KDWN. We're going to go.
It's his official party.
Play the music or don't play the music. I mean, what's going on over there? Tina back at the studio, Music Broadcasting, a nice casual Thursday night.
She's getting nervous about the bowling.
Yeah, I think she is because now she's relying on a 9-year-old to carry her and her team. And of course, Tina is a ambidextrous bowler. She works Beasley Broadcasting. She always coordinates the show from the studio, the Beasley Broadcasting studio over there on Thursday nights and some other nights too. And we appreciate her, but she has made a challenge. She's got a 9-year-old gal that's coming out here who's going to be bowling in all. Well, I don't want to say all 50 states, but 48 states. She's going around the country and bowling, and Tina is her mentor and partner out here.
God save that 9-year-old.
Yeah, can you believe it? And there's a challenge out there for me and Iskoe. Now, I'm relying on Iskoe. He's good for 270, and Grinchy's good for, I'm good for 145, Andy. I can guarantee a 145. I'll be focused. I'm guaranteeing. Now, I got the straight ball.
How come you only get to bowl one game and I got to bowl two for my 270?
Well, that's okay. That's I thought that was actually your 3 games. I'm hoping, I'm thinking you're probably good for 150. I'm thinking you have 450.
I like when the bar is set low so I can even underachieve.
I'm seeing visions of you with a 450, 3 games. I'm saying the Grinch around 425.
450 is probably realistic.
Realistic, okay. And then Tina, she's good for 7, 8.
She's good for 450 in 2 games.
Yeah, exactly. We're in trouble. And then Tina, we're going to bring you in here now. The gal, the 9-year-old, what is she? Is she what about 140, 130? I mean, what are we looking at average wise for the young lady?
Actually, she's right now about a 110, 120.
Okay, cool. So there you go. So that's my. There you go. So that's my competition. All you got to do is take out Tina. You got that, Iskoe? Come on, AI. Bob Murphy bowling for dollars. Come on.
I'll
bowl blindfolded. I'll give you a chance.
Wow, blindfolded. No, Tina. No, you're better lefty. That's your natural. You're southpaw.
Yeah, I'm 220 plus lefty and 210 right-handed.
Oh wow, not much of a drop off. I'm like, I'm 220 lefty, and I'm 210 righty. I mean, come on, now that's cool because a lot of switch hitters you see, there's a real distinct difference. Right-handed, left-handed, they're always predominantly stronger one side or the other. T, do you? I mean, again, you're a natural southpaw. Do you enjoy? One side or the other? Is it the natural side easier for you, or do you try to push yourself and try and get yourself right-handed as good as you are left-handed?
When you're left-handed and you bowl, people pick on you because they think the side is so easy. So I actually started bowling right-handed just to kind of shut the righties up.
Really? And Andy, of course, in baseball, left-handed swing.
I think left-handed bowlers actually have an advantage because the lanes retain their characteristics because there are fewer bowlers bowling on that side of the lane.
That's a big misconception.
Ooh.
See?
Big misconception because totally on the tougher patterns, the more righties there are, the shot actually opens up where they'll have 2 boards early and then open up with 5 or 6 boards later on, and we're stuck with 2 all day.
That tip is probably worth 20 extra pins for me now.
There you go. See? And, you and Tina right here, last segment of the show, talking about misconception, which is good because that'll, save you on child support.
Where's the
I'm
sound
not
of
even
crickets?
touching that one.
There you go. We'll just let that go, and that's for the cerebral part of Sports X Radio's audience out there. And every now and then, got to have a little fun.